Hello again! Before we discuss development theories, we will briefly recognize the contribution of main thinkers and nowadays theoretical discussion, starting with Adam Smith and the way his thought affected today's thinking and practice in the field of economics and international development. Adam Smith was born and lived in the 18th century, a time in which, as we will see in our next lesson, international trade advanced the world economies. However, at the time, specifically within European nations, merchants had strong lobby and advocacy power, and they pushed their governments to employ protectionist policies such as import tariff quotas, which would protect their trade from international competition. Smith viewed this protectionist approach as detrimental for economic growth. He argued that market forces, if led to work independently without regulations and protection, would lead to growth. Specifically, competition would lead to higher efficiency and economic growth and improvement in living standards for all citizens, not only to the merchant class. In his book, The Wealth of Nations, from 1776, he calls to allow the invisible hand of the market to manage the economy and allow growth to take place. Let's watch a short video produced by the BBC Radio 4, which explains the concepts of the invisible hand.
In the 18th century, Adam Smith used the metaphor of an invisible hand to describe how individuals making self-interested decisions can collectively and unwittingly engineer an effective economic system that is in the public interest. This is how the invisible hand is usually understood today. When there's plenty of grain on the market, sellers drop their prices to make sales. When it gets scarcer, the price rises and the financial incentive for growing it or importing it gets stronger. The individual buyers, sellers, growers and importers don't set out to act for the public good. They just go about their business thinking about their own gains and losses, buying wherever they can to get the best deal. But out of their self-interested choices in a free market, an efficient economy emerges. And this, allegedly, is superior to any system the state could produce. More recent enthusiasts of free markets, such as Friedrich Hayek and Milton Friedman, have invoked the idea of an invisible hand as an argument against restrictions on trade. Not everyone sees the invisible hand as benevolent, though. Those who are poorly paid or out of work as a result of its operations may feel that it is better described as an invisible boot.
As we can see, the video suggests that Adam Smith argued that specification will cause people to take different roles in the economy according to their self-interest and capacities. This, together with the role of supply and demand, will cause the economy to work efficiently. This understanding is what we call today classical theory. In another video produced by the School of Life, available in the resources for this lesson, you can find explanation of Smith's understanding of the capitalist system. Interestingly, Smith believed that capitalist system is capable of improving the quality of life of the people living in poverty and the people disadvantaged in the economy. He explained that if the rich receive appreciation and respect for their wealth, they will work for the benefit of the poor as well. I'm not sure that this system could work as efficiently as Smith suggested in today's economies. We will be able to discuss this in class as part of the Glocal program. Another influential economist of this time was David Ricardo, who developed the concept of comparative advantage. According to Ricardo, trade can benefit all nations if they stop producing everything and produce only what they have a comparative advantage in. Again, similarly to Adam Smith, Ricardo believed in market forces which can drive economic growth forward. through specification and efficiency. We will discuss further the concept of comparative advantage and trade in the development economic course at the Glocal program. These notions of classical economists were used often by policymakers who were in favor of trade liberalization and the capitalist system, which suggests that if the market is left alone, it would yield higher economic gains. Please remember that at this time, development was seen as a process of economic growth and industrialization. It was expected that countries in which market forces drive the economy would experience rapid industrialization, the benefit of which would trickle down to the weaker segments of the population. The critique to this classical theory began not on the grounds of the trickle-down effect or the question of the feasibility of the capitalist system to care for the poor, but else from questioning the actual idea that the market itself can lead to economic growth. Such critique was raised by John Keynes, who witnessed the Great Depression of the 1930s in the United States. In opposition to classical economists, Keynes argued that the recovery from the Depression would only take place by government investment. Economic growth can only take place by significant investment in new projects, through which governments fuel both money and power to the economy, opening new job opportunities and improving infrastructure and industrial performance. These large-scale operations cannot be pushed for by anyone else but the government, due to their scale and the limited financial gains they offer. Such projects can assist economies to advance forward and grow. Example for such projects can be seen in the construction of the Hoover Dam in the Colorado River between the states of Nevada and Arizona, which took place in the 1930s, or the Chinese government high investment in various infrastructure projects after the 2008 financial crisis. According to Keynes, governments can take steps through fiscal or monetary policies. Fiscal policies includes government's investment in the economy. Monetary policies steps affect the money supply in the market through setting the interest rate or printing money. Whatever the means, Keynesian theory advanced our understanding of the role that governments can take in the process of generating economic growth. Keynes did not discuss development specifically, but as we will see in session 3 of this course and later the Glocal program, his worldview significantly affected government's decision-making in the era of post-World War II and the independence of developing countries. In the next video, we will examine development field after the Second World War.